Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another awesome Wednesday, another episode of Gaming News at Noon with Salty and Boom. And I'm getting some feedback here. Give me a second. God, every time I do that, I try to mute the mic and it brings feedback. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Gaming News at Noon. We're happy to be here, myself and my co-host here, Mr. Boomstick XL. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. This is a
To be
exciting
here,
time
myself
for
and
gamers. It doesn't matter what console you support. But you know what, dude? I don't even think we should talk anymore because you have so many topics. I don't know if we're gonna get to
them. Dude, it's just unreal because you know how things go. You get news after news after news after news, and I didn't realize how many topics I was putting in the DM. So more than likely, we're not going to get to all these topics, but we have a lot of cool stories out there. Mortal Kombat 11 just dropped. We have Days Gone coming out. We have the PS4 Super Slim, rumors of that. Some tech leaks going on about the PlayStation 5. Shout out to Biggie2316. He's in the chat. He's a Patreon supporter. He donated Mortal Kombat 11 to myself last night. I'm going to be having a kid here in July, so we're saving up for that. My wife has to have a C-section, but that's beyond the point. Let's get into the topics, shall we? Without further ado. So we'll start pretty light here. Kingdom Hearts 3 updates coming today, and it adds a new difficulty mode for all you guys out there that have played Kingdom Hearts 3. I myself didn't pick the game up yet. It's kind of in my backlog, but it's going to be adding the critical mode, so that's going to be an increased difficulty there. It's going to be a more challenging difficulty level above Proud mode. I don't know what that is because I haven't played it. Boom, did you play Kingdom Hearts at all? Kingdom Hearts 3?
Yes, I was a day one adopter. Sadly, I only got up to the part with Hercules, which is literally right in the beginning. It's just one of those games that that's in the backlog. I have to get to it. I'm a huge Disney fan. Of course, I played the other Kingdom Hearts, so I really have to get into this. There's so many awesome things, but there's just too many games. That's the problem. So once we hit a little bit of a lull, that's one of the first games I'm really going to sink my teeth into.
Yeah, chat, if you guys played Kingdom Hearts 3, let us know. Did you finish it? Do you think it needs this critical mode? Are you going to play it again? This is a quick story. If you guys didn't know, it's going to be coming out. It's already out. It came out on the morning of April 23rd, so check that out if you guys are a Kingdom Hearts fan. So next up, we have some Grand Theft Auto 6 news if you guys are a fan of the series. Apparently, Grand Theft Auto 6 was spotted in a former Rockstar employee's resume. So according to this is interesting because if you guys are fans of the very popular GTA 5 series, which, by the way, is shipped over 100 million units, which is crazy worldwide, this means that potentially we have Grand Theft Auto in development. Who knows when this is actually going to come out, but I'm thinking probably 2021, 2022. Boom, what do you think about this, man? Are you a fan of the series, and are you excited for a sixth entry?
Yeah, look, first of all, obviously in this generation, we have not had a proper Grand Theft Auto because 5 was a port. Yeah, sure, it's upgrades. It looks amazing on the X, but it's not not built for the hardware that we're currently running. I'm going to be honest with you. If you thought for a second that they weren't working on a Grand Theft Auto 6, then you obviously don't have your ear to the floor. I mean, 5 sold so many, 6 is going to sell just as much. And there's rumors that you're going to be leaving, you'll be going to a different country, which is amazing. I'm really looking forward to this. That doesn't surprise me at all, Salty, that it's going to be on someone's resume, because if you worked on that game, man, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the series. I'm not really into the multiplayer, to be honest with you. It's kind of weird for me because people are running around with bazookas, and it's just too helter skelter for me. Okay, but the story's cool. I like Rockstar. I think they did very well with their last entry. So I think it's going to be amazing on the next gen hardware. I can't wait to see what they do with the tech. Can you imagine? It's just going to be insane. That's one of the titles that is probably my most anticipated for next gen, because like they could take all of the crazy shit they do in GTA 5 and just take it up 10 notches if they wanted to. With the graphics, the scale of the cities, just unreal things. And I think the reason why Red Dead Online, like Red Dead 2 Online, suffers is because of the setting it takes place, right? The Old West settings, there's only so much you can do with that as when it comes to like games and other things and adding customizations and weapons and stuff. But like modern day, man, you could just do pretty much anything, and they do that online. And I think that's why GTA Online is so successful, is because it's just like a sandbox, right? They could do whatever they want, put it whatever weapons, cars, and all kinds of stuff in there. So yeah, GTA 6 should be pretty cool, man. I thought that was an interesting story, so I'm looking forward to that. Next up, we have a story about actor Nolan North. He was asked about the Uncharted series, and people are wanting another addition to the series, but he basically came out and said he's okay with the series ending, and he seems satisfied with the series' run, and he doesn't seem like it needs more additions. What do you think yourself after playing these games? Would you like to see more? Do you think he's right? What kind of direction do you want to see?
I got to be honest with you. Here's the thing. First of all, Nathan Drake is an important character in gaming. Mm-hmm. I think that the 4 games on the PlayStation side, I'm not talking about the Vita or the PSP, because those were good, but you obviously want the maximum package when you're buying an Uncharted game. 1 was okay. 2, still my favorite PlayStation 3 game of literally all time. And 4 was a modern day masterpiece. Obviously they closed out his story. And to me, it would be as if they were reaching to tell another one. Now, there are a couple of ways you can do this. First of all, he does, have a daughter. If you wanted to, and you wanted to continue the Uncharted series, you could potentially use the daughter as the main character. Maybe a couple of flashbacks with Nathan Drake and his wife, and see where it goes. My only concern with that is that you'd probably get a lot of haters who are Tomb Raider fans say, "Oh, they're just biting off of Tomb Raider." But again, if they're going to continue the series, I think that's the way you have to go.
Yeah. I personally haven't played it myself, but I do know sometimes these series, especially when it comes to movies and TV shows, eventually they kind of run their courses with the storylines, and a lot of times fans don't want to see it end. It's kind of like a good thing. You never want to see it end, right, in life. But at certain points in time, the story just ends, and you got to accept that as a fan. And sometimes that's hard to do, because I know there's lots of movies like Avengers Endgame. I don't want the storylines to end. I don't want characters to die, or even Game of Thrones. My wife showed me this graphic, and she's like, "Man, this is like the most critical time for nerds out there, right? The Star Wars saga's ending. Game of Thrones is ending. Endgame is closing the books on a 10-year chapter. Like, isn't it a crazy time to be a nerd right now? It's crazy, right? So these stories ending with characters that you've known to love and come to be accustomed to, it's difficult saying goodbye, so that's why you're trying to hold on to these stories. And people will be like, if you ask a lot of our Uncharted fans, I'm sure they'd say, hey, yeah, let's make 10 more, you know what I'm saying? But at a certain point in time, you just got to close the books, right? Boom.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that, again, there was a lot of concern with Uncharted 4 on how they were going to do it. Are they going to kill Nathan Drake? Is he going to, end up maimed or something? And I think they did it with class. They did it with respect to the player, respect to the fan base. And I think that having 4 games in the series of Nathan Drake were enough that people could walk away satisfied. But I understand that they still want that adventure niche. Mm-hmm. And there's side ventures you can do. You can obviously Sully, his best friend, and his brother very similar to the other Uncharted DLC that came out, Lost Legacy, which was fantastic. If they do that, I would buy that, no problem. Again, you can do that. You can, introduce the daughter as taking me up to the mantle for her father. I mean, there's a lot of ways to go, but to bring Nathan Drake back outside of a cameo, I don't know, man. I think that would be it would be disrespectful to the people that closed the book on Nathan Drake as a character.
Yeah, shout out to Hazard, man. He's another Patreon supporter. He said, I thought Endgame was the end of Phase 4, but they said that the new Spider-Man will end that story. Yeah, that's the last movie, and it closes the book on Phase 4. So, but Endgame essentially is the end, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what they're going to be doing with Spider-Man, but yeah, that's the last movie in Phase 4. Then they're going to take a break, and then they'll move on to the next phase. But that being said, it's tough, right? Characters are going to die, et cetera, right? Storylines are going to end. Stuff you've been building up to, especially with Thanos, right? Thanos is that big bad guy, and you've been building up to this end game for so long. There's going to be some kind of a letdown after that. I think it's natural, right? So characters, connections, everything like that. So you did try the DLC for Uncharted?
Yeah, I played through it. I put a significant amount of time into it. It was absolutely fantastic. I was very surprised that they didn't announce that they were going to do one with Sully and his brother. I really think that if you're going to do, I think the fans are asking for another Uncharted, and I think the way you could appease, that want for Nathan Drake's story to continue is to tell it about two other characters, two mainstay important characters in Sully and, of course, Nathan's brother.
Yeah.
So I think that's the way they could go. They can actually do a whole game just on those two guys because they're awesome, and I think it would sell.
Yep. Anyway, let's move on to the next topic. If you guys didn't know, the Notre Dame church caught fire. It's sad news there. But actually, we've got some positive news from this. Ubisoft donated a good chunk of money and resources to the rebuilding project. And actually, we have an opposite. It's like a reverse review bomb. I don't know if you can even call it that, but people came back in and gave positive reviews for Assassin's Creed Unity. I think that's cool. I just don't like this whole idea of review bombing or even the reverse, because it kind of defeats the purpose of reviews, right? I mean, it's just we got a topic coming up about Mortal Kombat 11, which we will get to, but I think this is a positive note for Ubisoft in the game, because you know how it struggled out the gate, with tech issues and I guess eyeballs exposed with faces and stuff. You remember that, Boom?
Yeah, no, it was frightening.
Yeah, it was
they
pretty scary, right?
Where it just was like a horror game and not an Assassin's Creed game. But they did fix it. I got to be honest with you. It's the only Assassin's Creed I didn't beat, man. I kind of held off into the patch, and the patch finally came out. And by that time, I was playing something else. It's a game I'd like to get back to, but that's really awesome. Obviously, Ubisoft is their main headquarters, from what I understand, is in France.
Yeah. So
for them to offer up, $500,000 in support of rebuilding Notre Dame, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's good news. So let's move on to the next topic. Let's talk about, I don't know if I want to get too negative on this, but Anthem's delaying all content basically that they're trying to put out, and the reasoning behind this is they want to fix a lot of the broken features of the game, and they said they, quote, learned a lesson that they were releasing content too early. So if you guys didn't know, the following features are going to be delayed with Anthem. Mastery systems, guilds, legendary missions, phase 2, weekly stronghold challenges, leaderboards, some free play events, and then cataclysms. So this is interesting. I don't know how to approach this. I think Anthem is in trouble, in short words. I think there's some problems going on with this game, obviously, with the news with BioWare and the issues they were having behind the scenes. That story was broke. They denied it. Then they actually confirmed it. And then now they're delaying a lot of the stuff that they were promising. So the content is key to keep people continuing to play this, which has been an issue content-wise. So then now you're telling people, hey, we're going to delay the content that you're looking forward to, which they just came out with a Stronghold that actually looks pretty fun. I wanted to actually go back in there and try that. I heard Jez talk about it. He says it looks pretty cool, but it's kind of copy and paste. But I was looking forward to going back into Anthem and experiencing some of these things, like the Cataclysms. But now they're just kind of delaying it to the foreseeable future. What do you think of this, Boom?
I mean, look, here's the thing. Anthem was one of my most anticipated games in 2019 for a lot of people, not just me. I jumped on board. I bought the Legion of Dawn edition. I'm all in, right? I'm not, I didn't return it. Digitally. I only put a couple hours into the actual game. I put a significant amount of time into the alpha, into the beta. And when the game launched, it just was. It had a lot of problems, and I felt that with so many other games that are out that I want to finish, I will return to this game once they have their shit together, so to speak.
Yeah.
And you know what? Look, let me say this. The negative news that have come out of BioWare, which was of course broken by Kotaku. And it really it turned a real negative light on this company. It's certainly not the same BioWare that we all know and love. So many people have left. The working conditions apparently they're horrendous. Delays of content does not surprise me because they actually have to get their stuff in order. I mean, people, the same people that were complaining about, everything that was going on, they still have to be compensated for that. And, unfortunately, real life gets in front of games. I'm actually glad that they're delaying the Salty, to be honest, because they already put out a half-baked product. Could you imagine if they put out half-baked DLC? The freaking world would go set ablaze.
Yeah. Do you think, though, like with the people that are in the game, I guess the people that are in there at this point, like Jago, shout out to him, the people that have stuck around with that game, I guess maybe they'll just still be there. But I'm just wondering how long this game can survive, because it's a game as a service model, right? If you don't have content to put out for your consumer base, they're going to go do other stuff. We saw that for games like Destiny, and you just know with some of these looter shooters out there, if you don't have the content to support the game, people are just going to play other stuff. There's the Division 2, right? Other stuff is out there for people to play. So I'm just wondering if this game can survive all these things, like bad story after bad story. I want it to survive. It was if you go look at my most anticipated video for Q1, Anthem was on the top of the list, for me. So I want that game to succeed more than anybody else. I was defending it through all kinds of stuff, but I'm just wondering how supportive EA is going to be, and to what extent EA is going to be supportive for this game, and like how willing are they to extend the deadlines or whatever metrics they have to keep the game going. Are they just going to pull the plug like they do on everything else? But like,
It's certainly it's definitely worth giving it a thought, for sure. I mean, we've seen what happened with Visceral Games, right? I mean, things weren't working out, and they slammed the door, and the padlock went on, and goodbye for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know if they would do that to BioWare. I am gonna say this though, coming off of a very mediocre a Mass Effect Andromeda, followed by a very troubled Anthem, man, I'm going to say this, the pressure to get Anthem you thought was big, wait till they get their third game in this, coming out, whatever that's going to be, whether it's Dragon Age, with the new Star Wars, whatever, the amount of pressure that they're going to feel is going to be through the roof, man, to make sure they get it right.
Got to pay the bills. Jesse Darby with the $5 super chat. PS4 diskless leak. I bet your PlayStation fanboys are freaking out right now. Haven't heard about the diskless leak. We heard about the it's kind of a slim version. So we'll talk about that. If you have a link, Jesse, to that, I would love to see it for sure. Link that in the chat. But
real quick,
yeah,
Mooch,
what's up?
Mooch is in the chat. I want to say what's up to him. Thanks for being here and supporting us on our journey.
Yep.
He's asking, hey, what up, Boom? When are we getting that 360-degree tour of MK11's collector's edition? Well, I recorded it this morning. Right now, it's I'm just finishing the editing part of the video, and it will be up maybe about half an hour after this show ends. Like I said, it's a lot of fun. The collector's edition is amazing, but it is $300.
Yep.
So it's not for everyone, but like I said, that video is going to be going live on my channel as soon as we're done.
Okay, I'm excited for that. Did you put the mask on? I guess we shall see, right?
Yes,
we shall see.
We'll keep everybody in suspense.
Yeah, I live vicariously through the unboxings of Boom, so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I've seen lots of people in the chat asking, "Where's that unboxing?" So yeah, you guys could stay tuned for that. We'll put a link to his channel as well. So let's move on to some news when it comes to PlayStation. The Last of Us 2, Joel and Ellie actors have finished mocap work for the game. I saw lots of pictures for this. They looked melancholy, if I could put it that way. And I was trying to figure out where Ellie, the actress, where she's from. And I think it was Growing Pains. It's a show way back in the day, dude. But anyway, she's very familiar. But yeah, there was a picture of the guy that plays the main actor, and he's kind of kissing her head and stuff. And it's kind of sweet there. But we'll see what happens in the story. But they're done with the mocap. I've stated before, which we have another story coming up about the potential release date leaked online. But what do you think of them finishing their mocap work, and how far along do you think they are in the process? I mean, I guess you can tackle that. Did you see these pictures, and what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they have there's obviously a relationship there.
Yeah.
In real life, not just in the game, because obviously they worked together on the first game. They're working together on the second game. You spend lots of hours with each other in the studio and the mocap. Look, the leak says a September release, right? So you have to look at it. If they just finished the mocap, we don't know how far along as it is. I'm going to be honest. I think Mooch will agree with me. I'm looking forward to The Last of Us 2 tremendously. I'm hoping that they come out with a collector's edition. I bought the first one of Joel and Ellie. I have the statue sitting right above me. It's amazing. This game is going to be amazing. It's going to be what you would expect from the Uncharted famed developer Naughty Dog. September, with where we are now, and they're just finishing, it's going to be cutting it really close. I really think that we're going to see this in March, the same time where they dropped God of War. Did very well for Sony. I expect them to drop Last of Us 2 in March. It's great that they finished. We don't have any other information of how far along they are on other aspects of the game.
Yeah. And depending on when the PlayStation 5 comes out, it should be interesting there, because if the PlayStation, we have a news story about that as well, so stay tuned for that. But it will be interesting when they release these games, because maybe it's like what if you release this game towards the very, very end of the PS4 cycle? Are you going to put a remaster out there for the PS5, or how does that work? Because
that's a good question.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you're on the very, very tail end, I don't know. It's interesting to kind of look at that, because with GTA specifically and some of these other titles, when it was towards the end of the 360, they kind of double dipped, right? They put out different, Battlefield, what was it, 4? I think it was 4. 4 came out with a 360 version, then the next gen systems came out with the Xbox One, and they released another version. It had 64 players, whatever. So it should be interesting when this releases. I've said it's going to be a 2020 release for this, because just based off a lot of the news that's coming out, just barely finishing your mocap work, I think there's still a lot to go into that to make the game a finished product and to release it in full. So I don't see this coming out, but maybe if they're done with everything else, they could get the product out there. But it's an interesting story to say the least. It was cool to see those pictures with all the dots on their face. You see this with movies, right? Like with the Avengers movies, behind the scenes, they all have these dots on their faces. And it's like with the mocap work, it's cool. I like to see that kind of stuff, because it's like movies and games are kind of crossing over with the technology they're using and the budgets that they're using. It's pretty cool, to say the least. But let's move on to the next topic. The Nintendo Switch was the best-selling console for the month of March in the U.S. according to the NPD Group. Switch is the number one hardware for 4 months in a row. The Nintendo Switch is up a massive double-digit percentage year over year for quarter one, and the Switch has the best quarter one of this entire generation, higher than the PS4 peak or the Xbox One. In addition to that, lifetime sales have passed the Nintendo 64. What do you think of this, Boom?
I mean, listen, what could you say about the Nintendo Switch? It's a monster, not in power, but in portability, acceptance within the community. If you're a Nintendo fan, you have to really appreciate what they've done. I mean, this is they're the comeback kids of this generation, right?
Yep.
You have to look at what they did. First of all, the Wii phenomenon. My grandma's from 82 to 4 was the age ratio of who was buying a Wii. It's for everybody, right? New type of controller, and it was fun for everyone. Then they come out with the Wii U, and it bombs, dude. It was so unlike Nintendo. They really took a dump with that. And then, of course, there were a lot of naysayers like, oh, my God, it's going to be another Wii U incident with the Switch. And it just, man, it's just, you and I both talk about it all the time, how much of fans we are of it.
Yeah,
you play it, portable-wise. I play it docked. I love it. I think that if you have been gaming as long as we have, you have to appreciate what Nintendo has done, because putting out that system was risk, right? It was a big risk because you don't know what you're going to get, because obviously they had the Game Boys out there, and this is just that Nintendo magic that we all know and appreciate, and they're just killing it, man.
Yeah, it's kind of sad but sweet, I guess. Nintendo 64 didn't sell too well, honestly. I think lifetime sales were like 30 million or something like that. But that's one of my favorite systems of all time. And I shared this thing on Twitter about a retro console, classic edition of a 64. Like, would you be day one on that? And I would. That's like one of the few consoles that I would be day one on. For a classic mini console, everybody's been begging for it, and for how many millions of consoles were sold for the 64, it just seems like it undersold for how much I love it personally. But I guess that's the same for a lot of different systems. That for some people it was the Dreamcast, whatever. But boom, the Nintendo 64, man. When you look at it, would you buy that mini if they came out with it? And like, what would be the first game you would play on that system?
In a microsecond. In an absolute microsecond, I would buy that system. I'm buying the Sega Genesis one. I did not buy the PlayStation one. When it's $5, I will buy it. But a Nintendo product, I will buy without even thinking twice. One, because it's Nintendo, and I'm a fan. I obviously got my first Nintendo when I was 15 for my 15th birthday in '85 when it launched here in the States, the NES. And I have so many incredible, fun memories of the N64. There was so many fantastic games on there. Pilot Wings, Super Mario 64, Star Fox 64, F-Zero, phenomenal. Killer Instinct 1 and 2. I mean, it's just the list goes on and on. How many great games? I don't know how many they'd be able to put on there. It'd probably be around 20, maybe to 30, same as the other ones. But I tell you right now, dude, I hope that does come true. I would be day one to pick that up.
Yeah, the first game I would play on it probably be Super Mario 64, honestly. That was probably, I don't know, man. There's something about that game for me. Yeah, so I would probably pick that up, play some Super Mario. Here's the deal. The wrestling games on the 64 are pretty legit as well, So, yeah, we'll see what happens with Nintendo. I don't know what they're doing with the 64. You would think that they'd kind of be hinting at that kind of a system. I've heard rumors, because I know a lot of Nintendo people that do YouTube and talk to people behind the scenes. The thing is some people are thinking that it might just be released as a collection, not actual system on the Switch. So they might do it that way. I don't know. We'll see what they do with that. But passing the lifetime sales of the 64 is cool. The Switch is just a locomotive driving down the hill. It has momentum. And I said this before the year even started. I said 2019 is going to be the year of the Switch, and I'm like, they're going to win NPDs from here until the end of 2019 and beyond. You just look at the games that they have coming out. They just have momentum. Everybody wants a Switch. I go on social media. The people that were dogging the Switch before are wanting to get a Switch. Like people that return their Switch, they're buying another one. So it has this momentum, and it has this appeal to it that I haven't really seen since like the Wii original. Because I remember people buying the Wii original that didn't even give a shit about gaming, but since everybody and their mom was buying it, they wanted to hop on board. So it's accessible to a lot of people. There's rumors out there that there's the Switch Mini coming out, and there's a rumored date of June for that to be dropping. So if you're thinking about hopping on the Switch train, which a lot of people are, let's be honest, a revised version with increased power isn't going to be around the corner, but you might get that smaller, cheaper version. And I think Eurogamer was getting trashed for saying it wasn't going to have a dock. But if you go look back from their articles, they never said it wasn't going to have a dock. It's actually going to have a dock, according to a lot of stories. It's just to be smaller and cheaper. So if you're waiting for kind of a price cut on this, you might wait to the summertime, till June, especially around E3. Maybe it's going to be announced there. If you're looking to hop on board, stay tuned for that news. Boom, would you be interested in a smaller version of this? What do you think of that? Revised mini version of the Switch for Nintendo.
You know what? For me personally, Salty, no. Simply because I have massively big hands, so the Switch is perfect the way it is. For my nephew Tyler, who has now been taught all about Nintendo since he was a baby, so he's a big Nintendo fan. I would purchase it for him, and let him take it home. So when he was out in the street, with his mom, she wouldn't worry about him dropping it, because I'm going to say that if you saw what they did with the 2DS revision, it was almost like a play school kind of like a tablet, so it could take a beating from a kid and still work. Yeah. And I think that's probably the thought process behind the mini Switch, is that there are a lot of kids, that the smaller kids, I don't know if do you want to really give your Switch to a 5 and 6 year old? Probably not. So this would be perfect for them. It's smaller, it fit into their hands, and of course it's going to be what you would expect from Nintendo, a quality product that could take a drop or two.
Yeah, they're just trying to reach as much of the market as they can. And especially with how good Nintendo does with the portable market, it makes sense for them, because the smaller you get it, the more portable it is, So they had a goal of 20 million units sold in the fiscal year. The official results haven't come out, but I think estimates are around 17.5 million units shipped. So they almost hit their goal, which is crazy. So to look at the revisions that are around the corner, potentially the mini, potentially the more powerful version with some modifications on there, man, I don't know what the analysts are saying, but dude, I'm interested to see what kind of lifetime sales this thing's gonna have when it's all said and done, man.
Salty, if they release the mini Switch towards the end of the year. Let's say it's not the summer. Let's say it's the fall, which is where I would launch it, and they include one or two of the new Pokemon games in there. You could forget about it. You're not going to find it on store shelves anywhere. It's going to be one of those Christmas items that you just can't find.
Yeah, man. Hey, so I'm seeing some interesting things in the chat. So power is being brought up as not mattering so much, and it's proof by the Switch. The Switch is kind of in its own realm, though. It's kind of
Nintendo always runs in their own lane, dude.
It's a hybrid system, and then people were talking about MK11 looking bad on the Switch. I've heard from different people that it's just your expectations, because I've seen those reports. I've heard people that says it looks good if you're playing it portable. portably, because obviously they lowered the resolution because they wanted to have a 60 frames per second. So yeah, you're not going to get an Xbox One X experience, a 4K experience, but I think for what it is, like if you're trying to play Mortal Kombat on the go, you're getting that portable experience. So I think for what it is, I think it's outstanding that people get that Mortal Kombat 11 experience on the Switch. I don't even, like me saying that, I don't even believe that it's on there, but it is. I haven't bought it, but because there hasn't been a lot of third-party support. So I think it's more important to just look at that third-party support more than how trash it is or whatever it is, you know. You're not going to pick up MK11 on the Switch, right?
No, I bought it. Obviously, I bought it for the Xbox One. And my nephew Tyler, I wouldn't let him play it. He's only 10. Real quick to Nick, shout out to Nick Koch in the chat. He's saying that his daughter is 2 and that she wants to start playing. Listen, Tyler held a controller. I have pictures of it when he was, I think, 1. He was holding an Xbox 360 controller, and then of course I put a Wii controller in his hands, and he's been a fan ever since. I say start young. Yeah. Nintendo is a great place to start young gamers because obviously it's Nintendo. It's like Disney.
Yep. And if you guys don't know the history, I was debating whether or not to buy a PlayStation 4 or a Nintendo, right? A Switch. And ultimately, because I wanted to get, my daughter was interested in gaming, right? She saw me gaming. And it's one of those things, like parents want to get their kids into sports or dancing. And ultimately, it's up to the kid, right? The kid needs to be interested or not. So you can't force your kids to be gamers, even if you're a gamer. So luckily, my kid just loves gaming. She has from the get. I don't even know how young she was when she started being interested, but you know, she's growing up and progressing in gaming. So I was like, yeah, let's get a Switch, man. It's perfect for her. So it's interesting to see her progress with her gaming, because before, like she was playing some Disney game that we got for free, the one where you paint. I don't know what it's called, but anyway, she was playing that before, like a year ago, couldn't even play it, and now she's just doing everything that she can, right? She plays Fortnite and is very proficient with that. It's a cool experience to see your kids gaming, long story short. So yeah, if you're looking at getting your kids into gaming, definitely recommend a Switch. Continue on Switch news, which there's a lot, right? They had this builder, right? You could do these map building on the Smash, right? And guess what happened? Boom. What do you think? What do you think the gamers did? They made magical levels that were all PC, right? And great for everybody. What do you think these guys went out and did? You know,
they went out and probably made a bunch of dicks and other things that were uncalled for in a Nintendo game. I mean, look, here's the thing, Salty. Yep. You know, a joke's a joke, right? A joke's a joke. You want to joke with your friends. You want to send someone, a picture over the internet like a knucklehead, and chance at getting out. That's fine. That's fine. You know, that's what friends do. Like, we do silly things. Yeah. But if you're going to go out of your way to make a level that supports this kind of shenanigans, you got to ask yourself. You really got to ask yourself as a person: do I need to talk to somebody? Do I need some sort of help? Because obviously, I associate Nintendo with kids. That's what I do. And my nephew Tyler, who is like my son, if he would have downloaded a level like this, I would have been beside myself, wanting to punch somebody in the face.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
And I'm not a violent kind of a person, so you really got to use your head when you're going to do these things. Kids play Nintendo, and if you're going to be that kind of an animal, because that's what you're an animal. If you design this kind of shit and put it out there, you also should seek help.
Yep, and it's crazy once you give people online freedom to do stuff. They immediately do this, right? Call of Duty, when they're doing icons or whatever, like you give the ability for people to do artistic things in video games, they immediately do this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So
there's always a few that ruin it for everyone.
Yeah, because to be honest, if you get past the bull crap, right, the stuff, the BS that you don't want to see, and I'm not even going to mention it, right? They're doing racist stuff and all kinds of stuff. We're not going to even talk about that. But getting past that, like the actual maps that people made that were PC and were actually cool, those would be cool to play. Like, to be honest with you, if you took all the garbage out and you put like the creativity from the community in there, you have limitless amounts of maps and possibilities, and that would be cool for the gamers. But the few ruin it for the majority, right? So
yeah,
majority are going to suffer from this. More than likely, Nintendo is going to take action. They'll probably take out this feature, to be honest with you, because I don't see how they can control it, to be honest.
It's just, I don't know how you police that. I'm
like,
gonna be honest with you.
Because I heard people got warning emails from Nintendo and stuff like that. Like, I don't know if they could like ban accounts, or like if you get a warning and then you do it again. But if you're Nintendo, you're trying to protect your franchises and children, especially since, like you're saying, there's lots of children playing Nintendo. Like, you don't want kids seeing this stuff. So I think they're gonna have to take it out, the map builder stuff, entirely. I don't see how they can save the map building. I just think it's going to be a felled swoop. Boom, it's gone. We're going to pretend like it didn't happen, and that's just another feature that's going to go bye-bye because, you know, people online.
Those jerks.
Yeah. The trolls, right? So let us know if you guys have done any of the map builder stuff, before all this stuff goes down. I don't know how long it's going to take for Nintendo to take action. Probably be the next update, but I predict fully that this is going to go away. I don't see them keeping it. But anyway, let's move on to some more Mortal Kombat news. The game released. I played it last night, and shout out to Biggie for donating the game, because I could not get it. We're saving up for a C-section, all that stuff. But anyway, reviews came out, and the review scores are high for the reviewers, right? We're talking about 8s and 9s and lots of good scores out there. But when you talk about user scores, it's one of the worst scored games out there. And there's lots of review bombing going on for different reasons. People have their reasons, and the microtransactions, the grindiness of the game, not being able to play it offline when it comes to the towers and all this other stuff. And people talking about SJW stuff, of course, because that's always a topic in entertainment. People changing outfits, etc., etc. What do you think of these reviews and the review bombing by the gamers once more, because they're crying about smaller things? Some of the things I can see, but some of these other things are just ridiculous. Like this political stuff and talking about skimpy outfits where they used to have skimpy outfits and now they don't have them. Like, get over yourself, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, boom. What do you think, man?
You know what? I think that the only thing I could say that it should open and shut a door on this ridiculousness that I've read is, if you don't like the game, then spend your $60 somewhere else. It's really that simple. And I would not be surprised, because of course it is the ridiculous internet, that people that are complaining about skimpy dresses and towers not being, probably haven't even purchased the freaking game
for sure.
And that wouldn't surprise me in the least. I think that this generation that we're unfortunately a part of is the complaint that it's the Me Too generation. How come we didn't do this? How come we do that? Forget that the game looks amazing, it plays amazing. Yeah, sure. Some of some people are saying that it's very grindy in unlocking different pieces of armor, and I'm sure that the fine folks at NetherRealm are going to address that in one way or another. But some of the other stuff I've read, so it's just, come on, just play the game, man. And again, if it's not your bag, then don't buy it.
Yeah, the Human Spider says people have the right to complain, and that's true. There's venues out there for that, but when people review bomb, right, it just doesn't make sense. It hurts the review sites, and people go there for legit reviews. But when you go in there and see 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, that's not helping anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you are upset about the game, that's fine. Don't buy it. But going in there and just putting zeros in there and not even trying the game, it just it makes everybody suffer. Because I believe in reviews when they're done right. But this goes into movies, it goes into video games. This review bombing stuff, it's spreading, and it's just like a lot of people don't even give a shit about any of these games. They just want to review bomb stuff. Philly Eagle, $2 super chat. Reviews don't matter, only fun matters. Appreciate it, dude. So yeah, I've said my piece on reviews. I think they matter. I think that people can use them to help make justified purchases because they don't want to go out there and waste their money. Let's be honest. So they have people that they trust. They can go out there, look at the review. It's not the end all be all for them, hopefully, you know what I'm saying? But if you just did away with reviews, where would you go do research about video games? You know what I'm saying? You could watch videos on it, but these things are supposed to be baselines for you to make your own judgment to see if you want to hop in there. So these user scores is just ridiculous, because I heard this last night. People were coming into the stream that I had on Mixer, and they're like, did you see the review scores? And I'm like, yeah, what are they, like 8, 9s or whatever? And they're like, no, it's like a 1.5 or something. I'm like, what? I didn't even know what was going on, so I looked it up, and of course, review bomb. So I'm just tired of the review bomb stuff, guys, to be honest, Yeah,
you know what? I got to say this. First of all, in regards to reviews, how I would handle it and how I've done it in the past privately before I became, a personality or a content creator, I would go to channels that I trust, where their opinion matters to me. That used to be mainstream media. And obviously I now turn a blind eye to them because I don't trust them. But user scores are a joke. I don't honestly, I don't even think they should be listed or even be considered, to be honest with you, because you get exactly that. You get people dropping. How do you give Mortal Kombat 11 a 0? You know what that means? That means that your opinion is completely useless. And you're just being a dick. So I'm going to be honest. User scores are probably the worst thing, whether it's gaming, whether it's movies, music, it doesn't matter, because tainted people go out of the way to be jerks. And again, if you don't want to trust mainstream media, find a YouTuber or 3 that you trust. Support their channel by going and watching their videos, giving them thumbs up, sharing it on social media. And if you trust them and they say Mortal Kombat is garbage, well, then at least you can turn around and say, well, Johnny Two-Tone over here said Mortal Kombat's garbage, and he's been right every time. That's the best thing I could say.
Yeah, they actually had to disable user scores for Captain Marvel, I believe, as well. So this is it's reaching out to movies and games and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, let us know about Mortal Kombat 11. Have you played it? What do you think? Actually, another thing that I learned is this game's actually on Unreal Engine 3, which I didn't know. Right? It looks fantastic to me. I'm not really sure why they decided to use Unreal Engine 3. But beyond that, the game looks outstanding. It plays outstanding. The story is awesome. I think the story is amazing. Like, if you look at games past, the story modes were just kind of thrown in there just to kind of add some additions to the game. But like, this is a full-fledged story. Like, I'm looking at the action scenes. The acting could be better, whatever. You have what's her name from the WWE, and she's like the worst of the worst. I don't know why they decided to get her in there, but anyway, the graphics are outstanding and the gameplay is smooth. I'm loving the game, so I don't understand where people are coming from. It's just they're triggered and they want to review bomb. So let us know where you guys are at with Mortal Kombat 11. I know me and Yobi are supposed to be doing our little matchup, and I want to get some community fights going on because I know a lot of people have this game. Shout out to UK Dazzers. I think he has the whole week off. He'll be playing the game as well. So yeah, I think you've played it, my dude. So anyway, let's move on to the next topic. Disney reportedly getting ready to buy massive gaming company in a $13.2 billion deal. This report comes from Korean newspaper The Central Times, which claims that Nexon chairman Jung Yoo Kim, who owns a 98% majority share of the company, recently approached a high-ranking Disney representative in order to strike a deal. So they're trying to acquire a Korean PC and mobile gaming company called Nexon. which could set the company back $13.2 billion, which is interesting to me because I didn't think Disney had any interest in getting into gaming. But if they're going to spend this money, I know it's kind of pennies on the dollar for them, but it isn't, because $13.2 billion is a lot, So I don't know what the Mickey Mouse company is trying to do getting into gaming. I don't know what the future is there, but it's an interesting story. When I saw this, I was like scrambling, I sent it to Boom immediately. I didn't read too far into it. I just read the title and did some skimming there. But yeah, it's not like EA or Microsoft or anything like that, obviously, but they are trying to get into gaming, which is intriguing to me because they're trying to take over the world, apparently. Boomstick, what do you think, man? Do you think they'll eventually try to do other venues and make other acquisitions and stuff like that?
I don't know. It's a great question. We were talking privately about who could it be? Mm-hmm. It's got to be somebody that they trust, mm-hmm. Someone that they've worked with in the past. I immediately speculated EA, mm-hmm. but you kind of brought me back down to reality, saying that price EA is worth a lot more than that, and you were correct on that. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't surprise me because they could actually become, where I think this stems from. I actually think this stems from the amount of Star Wars games that have been delayed or canceled, mm-hmm. From EA, and I know that they said, oh no, we're real happy with EA, they're doing the right thing, but I think that was just a publicity stunt, if you will. I think behind the scenes they're pissed, and I think that if they can get a developer that that's a strong developer to make their games for Disney, for Marvel, for Star Wars, all their properties, I think that'd be good on them.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like when you see some of these trends with the giants of the world, especially when it comes to business, especially Disney in entertainment, they're making their own streaming platforms. So they were making moves with that. They acquired Fox. So you kind of see these lines, right? You can follow them where they're trying to go with their company. And especially with how popular gaming is and how much money it's making, you got to think that, Disney wants to get a cut of that. So that's not a small amount of money, it's billions of dollars. So when they're trying to get into gaming, it kind of piques my interest because I'm trying to see where they're going with this. Maybe it's just for the mobile market. Maybe they're trying to stretch out there, and it's obviously better for them if they have their first party take care of it, as opposed to reaching out and licensing out their products to like EA and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens with Disney and gaming, but I just thought it was an intriguing topic, to say the least. Let's move on to one of these rumors here. So Fortnite Studios reportedly demands brutal crunch hours for updates. This is intriguing to me because we've heard this crunch before when it comes to developers with these big publishers, and deadlines are set and crazy work hours are expected to get this content out. We've heard it with Sea of Thieves and Rare. They were talking about this last year has been crazy for them. I think one person at a certain point said if it was like that again this year, they would not be there, So it also brings up the topic of whether or not these developers should be unionized or not, and if they are, how much that would affect video game costs. I still play Fortnite with my daughter, and Fortnite is historic for getting content out like on the weekly. They're going to be doing an Avengers event coming up, so this takes man hours, and it takes developers working long hours, and apparently they're working ridiculous amounts of hours. So Boom, what do you think? Do you think these developers should unionize? What do you think about these crunch hours and all this other stuff to get content out for companies like Epic and Rare and stuff like that?
Look, having a union is great. Having someone that has your back, especially when you start talking about overtime, unpaid wages, working conditions, like we've seen what's going on in BioWare. Game development is hard. Forget the fact that you have to have a really good brain in that head of yours to wrap your mind around what goes into making gaming. But they're long. I mean, they're 10-hour days, they're 12-hour days. I don't know many developers. I know one or two, and some of them really enjoy it. Of course, it depends on who and where you're working. Unionizing is a big fact. I don't know if they're going to be able to get that done, but I think that if enough complain about it, that's a startup. Maybe people within the industry would want to get that done. And in regards to the long hours, Salty, I mean, listen, the crunch is the crunch. When you're making a game, those 2 or 3 years, you're putting in 8, 10, 12-hour days on a game. But when the game is getting ready to get launched, that's when it really hits high gear. And I think, I'm not saying that it's right. I'm saying that as a police officer for 21 years, I did 18-hour details, and it sucked. And you're standing there all day in the rain and the cold and the hot and the heat, and it's the job. It's what I signed on to do. I understood that. I don't want to sound like I'm kind of making an excuse for these people that are abuse the developers. No, what I'm saying is that if you're a game developer and you've heard of this crunch, this isn't a secret, right? Everyone's talked about this. I think that you have to expect long hours in the office making a game, and especially when the game's going to come out. So, sure, I think they should have a union. Absolutely. Do I feel bad that people get abused? 100%. But if you're doing this as your career, you gotta know that this is this is what it entails, Salty.
Yeah, long hours and all kinds of different fields out there. It's interesting to hear this though, because to get an inside look, because especially with a game like Fortnite, so Epic is a huge company. They're making billions of dollars. But they need to get the product out, and if you're working on a games as a service, it's not, those deadlines are always going to be there. They're never going to go away. It's not like you're just preparing one game and you're getting close to the game coming out, so you're going to ramp up your hours and then eventually that's going to go away. I think to a certain extent these companies can take advantage of their workers, because if you look at it, just what you were saying, right? You signed up for this job, and et cetera, and with how competitive the market is with developers and publishers and studios getting closed down, you can imagine yourself as a developer, right? You get hired on at Epic, you're working on Fortnite, one of the biggest game in the world, right? You're not going to want to just be like, hey, I'm going to quit my job, I'm saying, I can't take this, this is bullshit, whatever. You probably worked your way up to the top to get that job, but at the same time, it's just like, if you're Epic, you're just like, hey, get this product out. It doesn't matter how long it takes. There's both sides to take it, into account here. And that goes for all these studios. So yeah, if they unionize, you also have to take into account that's going to increase costs for video games. I think video games have been the same price for a long time. And it should be interesting to see if that would ever happen. I don't know if it would. I don't know how they would actually unionize. I don't know how that would actually go down, but how much that would affect game costs, or how it would affect games as a service like Fortnite, getting content out, DLCs, all that other stuff would be affected. So it's interesting, honestly. We've heard it. It's not just like this is the only story where this has happened or it got out. Like, people have actually talked about this, like I said, on Sea of Thieves and other games like that. So I don't know. It's an interesting story to get out there. But let's move on to the next topic. Dr. Disrespect thinks Fortnite is making gamers soft. If you guys don't know, Dr. Disrespect is kind of a personality out there in the gaming world. He does streaming. He has this persona, wears a wig, has a mustache, blah, blah, blah. He's a cool guy. I like him. But he said he put this story out there, and if you guys didn't know, he worked on Call of Duty, right? He was a developer there, so he worked behind the scenes before he started doing streaming. So this is a quote by him. He said, "More sensitivity out there in the world. They're getting softer and softer. We are talking about the younger kids here. When they get challenged, they grow soft, and these stupid A developers from North Carolina, Epic Games, have contributed to that. Why? You get one shot once in a regular military style or any old school Halo, Call of Duty, and anything has to do with competitiveness, you have to deal with it right then and there. Either you get to cover, peek, etc. This game, you get shot, it's effing 7 walls up because I'm scared to death and I got 1 second chance. It's funny, man. He's kind of joking, he's kind of not, whatever. He's just a funny guy, but it is interesting to look out there. Like in Fortnite, if you get shot out, boom, 1 million walls are up and people are running away. So what do you think about this quote from Dr. Disrespect?
You know, listen, he's indicative of his name, right? You know, he's disrespectful as his persona. He's a little rough around the edges. Someone would call him salty, which is, again, why you appreciate who he is. Do I think that this Fortnite is making people soft? I mean, look, here's the thing, folks. You know, Fortnite is a game that's, you know, it's a multiplayer game, and some people play it, you know, super competitive, right? And like every win or loss is like the world starts and ends with that. I think that's ridiculous. It's a fun game. It's a building game. It's mostly, it wasn't actually geared towards kids. I think it was geared towards gamers, and the younger generation has taken over as being that's their go-to game. You know, you got to understand it. It's a real, I mean, there's been a real incredible generational shift here where, you know, these newer generation kids that are playing, you know, your daughter, you know, my nephew, Daniel, who's a big fan of it. It's this free-to-play thing is what they want to play. Do I think it's making people soft? Not really, to be honest with you. I don't know where. I mean, it's his opinion. He's of course entitled to it.
What he's saying here is, I don't think he's saying it's making them soft as like individuals or whatever. I think he's saying like
gamers, though.
Yeah, like in competitive FPS, right? He's saying as like a soft FPS player, like. So these gamers are going to go out there and they're going to play Fortnite, right? They're going to get really good at it. So when they get into gun fights, is what he's saying, immediately their idea is just build, get away, build some kind of a wall, whatever. Like the building in this game is crazy. So in that respect, I see where he's coming from, because like the FPS or shooting genre, right, the competitive scene, it's going to be impacted by this because the majority of younger kids, they play this game. So eventually you're going to have so many people playing this game, they're not going to want to play the Halos or the Call of Duties because it doesn't have this model. You understand where he's kind of going there? Yeah, so it's going to have an effect on the industry per se. So
I mean, look, the thing is this, you know, you're going to have your Call of Duty fans, you're going to have your Halo fans, you're going to have your you know, pick whatever FPS that you like. It's just that, you know, the Fortnite group that's just all they play. Is it actually going to affect sales? I don't necessarily think so, because if you look at what Call of Duty did, even with removing the single player campaign, which I didn't buy this one because of that, it still sold like gangbusters, Salty. So I don't necessarily agree with that, to be honest with you. I think that, you know, the Fortnite crowd is going to just play Fortnite, and I think that's okay.
Stubbs Gaming says, don't get me started on a Fortnite. Laugh out loud. I have family kids that spend hundreds on it for skins. Yeah, man. It's a phenomenon like
it is.
We've never seen in gaming before, especially on the multiplayer side. So that's kind of why I like to go back and forth there. Like I said, there's a special Avengers event that's being teased, which looks awesome. They have Stormbreaker. Thor's axe is going to be in there. They had the shield for Captain America. Before they had Thanos was a playable character, so we'll see what they do with that. It's interesting to look at this because obviously it's going to have an impact. I don't see Fortnite slowing down. Obviously, if it was going to slow down, it would have done that already, but honestly, kids just keep playing it. Epic keeps putting content out, so I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. So yeah, I do think it's going to have an impact on FPS going forward, how popular certain games are, if games are going to last. Like Halo Infinite, for example, there was lots of rumors out there that saying that it's going to have a BR, and then the developer comes out and says, no, we're not having a BR. So we'll see what happens with Halo Infinite's multiplayer. But let's move on to the next topic. I want to talk about World War Z because the game topped 1 million sales in 1 week. I was kind of skeptical on this game, but I was mistaken because, first of all, I thought this game was $60, but it actually is like $30, which my friend told me, right? So
is it 30 or 40?
$40, one of those.
I think it's $40, but you know something, dude? What a polished game. I don't have it. I'm buying it.
Yeah.
I actually waited to cash in some of my GameStop points. I got a $25 free gift card. I'm going there right after the show to pick that up because it looks amazing.
Yeah, like I respect the opinion of Dealer Gaming. You know, we're friends and stuff like that. He's been playing it. He put a review out there. I've heard so many people that have played it and loved it. They're talking about that this is the successor to Left 4 Dead, and like the amount of zombies that you see on screen, it's crazy. Like there's just hundreds and hundreds of zombies and rushing you and chaoticness going on. So yeah, when I was talking about the game and saying it wasn't for me, is because I thought it was $60. Honestly, these type of games I do think have a shelf life, right? You're gonna play them with your friends, but eventually they get repetitive. It's just the way it's structured. I mean, for some people, they could probably play it for a year and not get tired of it. But with that price point, that being said, I got to think twice about it, honestly, because I've heard so many good things about it. It's selling very well. Boom's going to pick it up. He buys everything. But chat, like, have you guys played World War Z, and what do you think about it? Like, what have been your experiences with it? Do you think it has staying power? You going to be playing it for a while, or you just going to get as much play time as you can and move about your business? We want to hear from you guys for sure. Let's move on to the next topic. Crackdown 1 and 2 DLC are now free. So it's been revealed that Crackdown 3 Wrecking Zone has added an update which lets you play with your friends. Surprise, surprise. I don't know how many people are actually going to be doing that. But for those people that didn't purchase Crackdown 3 or are not interested, Crackdown and Crackdown 2 are still available to be downloaded for free. And to celebrate their additions to backwards compatibility, their premium DLC is now available for free too. So you still have those games? You probably have all the DLC too, right? You're a big Crackdown fan.
I mean, obviously I had it on the 360. I don't have it for the Xbox One. I'm going to download everything for free. I mean, look, it's great that they're giving away the free DLC. It's great that you can play with your friends. Unfortunately, I think it might be a little bit too late for Crackdown 3 in regards to multiplayer. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the single player campaign. I would have dabbled with the multiplayer, but it's just, for me, I'm more of a single player, selfish kind of a player, to be honest with you. I just think that at this, it just might be too late, dude.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. I'm not going to get back into that, obviously. But, if you guys want to pick that up for free, I thought I'd get that information out for you guys. New story trailer for Sea of Thieves came out, and, man, it looks phenomenal, to be honest with you. Yep. It looks so good. Apparently, it's going to take you about 20 hours to finish it. It's going to be coming out on April 30th. 2019, and this is in addition to the arena battles with the additions of harpoons, destruction to anchors, masts, and wheels, and all these other cool additions. A lot of people have been looking forward to a single-player story type experience, and like when I saw this trailer, it had a very, like, the music had like a movie feel to it, and I feel like Rare it has reached their potential. Like, people are like, oh man, Rare's on the decline. Man, if you look at this trailer and like the stories and the voice acting and the setting that they're creating with this game, I think that it's unbelievable. And honestly, I think that reviewers should actually go out there with this edition for the annual update, maybe put out some re-reviews for the game after a year or something like that. I'm sure people will do that. But did you see the trailer, and what do you think, man? I know you're not a big fan of Sea of Thieves, but
no, hold on now. Hold on your horses here for a second. I'm excited to what I'm seeing, Salty. And here's the reason why. It is a story-based game. They said it's between 10 and 20 hours. I'm all on. First of all, I really enjoy the aesthetics of what Sea of Thieves is. It's like a living cartoon. I love Rare. I have been a fan of theirs since the beginning. Sure, regular Sea of Thieves, not so much for Boom. I get it. It's not every game is for every gamer. I have a shirt that's going to be coming out that says that hopefully soon, because I think everyone really believes that every game has to be for everyone. That's not true. So Sea of Thieves, the multiplayer, not for me. The single player story mission, I'm all in, dude.
Yeah, let us know if you guys are going to hop in on that update. I've gotten a lot of DMs for people wanting to group up and play Sea of Thieves when that comes out. My sleeping schedule's kind of changed, so I don't know what kind of cruise or when I'm going to be on here. So I will be playing it though. I'll finish that storyline. It looks fantastic, man. I think it opens up a new area after you complete the storyline too, which is cool. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be coming out at the end of the month. So lots of cool content dropping, for Sea of Thieves. But let's move on to the next topic. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice sold 1.4 million copies digitally in March. So that's not physical. We're talking about digital, man. So obviously they haven't been affected by this whole they need an easy mode thing. It's one of the best selling From Software games out there, and it's performing very well on the digital marketplace. So this is crazy, man. I'm a big fan of this game. I honestly have been on the last boss, because I'm gonna be honest to you guys, okay? The last boss is probably the hardest boss I've ever played in any From Software game, okay? A lot of the people that have actually beat this boss are just cheesing it, and if you guys don't know what that is, it's kind of just like taking like advantages and cheesing the boss or whatever. So I'm still on the last boss. I'm working to beat it. I just gotta put the work and beat the game. But I've been on there for like a week and a half. So Easter came up and some other stuff. But yeah, it's no joke, to be honest with you. The last boss is just ridiculous. It's like he has 4 phases, I think, like that. So boom. What do you think, man?
Well, I think that the sales numbers are tremendous. It just goes to show you that even though it's a niche kind of a title that has a significant difficulty spike, people are loving it. People are buying it. It's the best-selling From Software game. You already said that. And I think we're going to get a sequel. And I think that From Software is just going to keep doing what they do for their fans, and that's it.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I saw some. I went to Mixer, or I forgot where it was, but I saw someone playing. What was it? Dark Souls, and it's weird to go back and watch the gameplay in Dark Souls. It looks so slow and weird to me after playing Sekiro, because it's fast, you're blocking, you're parrying. So I'm curious to see like how this is going to affect my gameplay when it comes to those games. Like if I go back and play the first Dark Souls, am I going to just not like it at all anymore? It's curious, because this game is completely different when you look at these Souls-born types of games. So it's intriguing there. So props to them. I think it's awesome for everybody involved. But let's move on to the next topic. This is intriguing. Phoenix Point's Epic Store exclusivity deal is worth $2.25 million, says Figure Investor. So this is just kind of a smaller game, but this just kind of gives you an insight to how much Epic is paying to get these exclusives on their store. So you can think some of the higher figured deals that are going down are some of these bigger AAA titles, like Metro Exodus and all this other stuff. Like if they're paying $2 million to get Phoenix Point on their store, how much are they paying, like I said, for the Metros of the world? They're being very cutthroat when it comes to this market, and I think they're going to continue to do this until they feel like they have a pretty good hold on the market and they can compete with Steam. What do you think about this story, Boom? $2 million for this small Phoenix Point game and all that other stuff.
Well, I mean, what it tells me is that they have faith in Phoenix Point, which I don't even know what it is. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't heard of it yet. That's surprising, because I do really keep my ear to the floor when it comes to gaming, because we're content creators and we need to do that. So I have not heard of this game. They must have real confidence that it's going to be a big time seller. Second of all, you know what? I'm sorry. I actually applaud Epic Games for doing this, because they are. Listen, it's big business, and they're looking out for number one, which is themselves. But on the same point, they're also charging 18% less for the big developers, but more specifically for the smaller ones who need that extra 18% to pay their employees to finish a game. So good on them. I think what this does is it puts more pressure on Valve to have to listen. They're old. They have to adapt. They have to change with the times, and they're putting their head in the ground. So I say, you know what? Pedal to the metal for Epic.
Yep. Anyway, that's a small little topic there. Let's move on to the next topic. According to some rumors, CD Projekt Red's highly anticipated and incredibly ambitious title coming up, Cyberpunk 2077. According to leaks and rumors, it's going to be released this year, but I don't know. This is an interesting leak to some of these leaks come from the most weird places, you know what I'm saying?
They do.
So it's like, this random retailer over in Poland, you know what I'm saying? Like had the release date leaked. It's like, well, why would they do that? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, from this leak, they're saying it's going to be released this year on November 28th. But this is coming from a Slovakian storefront pro gaming shop, so you take it with a grain of salt. I don't know why it would release leak on, like I said, the Slovakian storefront. Maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't. November 28th, interesting date. Right before it's in the holiday season. I don't think Cyberpunk's coming out this year, but maybe. I mean, if you guys are holding steadfast to this releasing in 2019, maybe this is the leak for you. Boom, what do you think, man?
I think that you have to take everything with a grain of salt. My original pitch was March, 2020. I think that gives them enough time to put it out, and obviously, we talked about Last of Us 2 showing up in March. Could you imagine both of those games showing up in March in 2020? Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
But look, I mean, they've already said they're coming to E3 and they're going to be dropping some big information.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a release date? Well, I don't know, but I know that it's going to be up on the Microsoft stage because, quite frankly, they're the best thing going for E3 2019. So it's going to be interesting, Salty, to say the least.
Yeah, and continue some of these leaks out there. We have The Last of Us Part 2. There's a leak out there that it's going to be releasing on September 27th. And is this another Slovakian retailer? I guess maybe it's the same one, according to this title. But what do you think about Last of Us 2 releasing September 27th? There's lots of people that think that Last of Us is going to be coming out this year. I'm not one of them, though.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I don't think it is. I think that a March release is a perfect window for The Last of Us 2 for Sony. It did very well for them with God of War. It did very well for them in the beginning of the year when they released Horizon Zero Dawn in 2017. That was early on. That's a great window for a big single player game. And I think that we talked about it in the beginning of the show that the mocap was just done, Salties. Just finished.
Yeah,
so I don't know if they're going to be ready in time.
All right, let's get to the meat and potatoes of the topics. Let's talk about this industry tech leak for the PS5 release window. Me and you have been talking about this behind the scenes, and I've talked about this actually when people were making the predictions based off of the information that Mark Cerny was putting out there. I was telling people that these chips weren't going to be ready until Q3 of 2020. Not a lot of people knew that, but according to the story by DigiTimes, just published a report saying that the 7 nanometer chips that are going to power Sony's upcoming next generation PlayStation 5 will not be ready until minimum Q3 2020. This means that the earliest we can expect a new console is sometime in late 2020. This is from reputable sources. This isn't just from a Slovakian retailer. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is legit, okay? And I've been saying this. I said holiday 2020. I wasn't up with this March bullshit. And I was saying it could even come out in 2021. You know what I'm saying? So I think that PlayStation has a stronghold on the market, and we have another topic coming up that kind of reaffirms the situation. But I personally think that this solidifies the 2020 release window, but more so the holiday of 2020, I think, is a realistic possibility for the PlayStation 5. Boomstick, what do you think, man?
I'm right there with you, dude. You and I have been going back and forth about this. I think it would be ridiculous to release it at the beginning of the year, March. I thought about it because I know I talked on another show. I said, yeah, maybe not so bad because, the Switch did well. But, dude, the report from the tech report that you just read, it kind of just slams dunks and debunks all of this nonsense.
Yeah.
It's probably going to come out in October or November. And, both Sony and Microsoft are going to be fighting for number one.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you look at it, it kind of lines up, but there's a lot of people that have pointed out the fact that the only time that these two, big companies have launched their consoles at the same time was this generation that we're currently on, So there hasn't been a generation before that where they were launched at the same time. And I think they both know behind the scenes what each other's doing, right? They have sources within the tech industry, the people that are producing these chips, and et cetera, et cetera. They know what each other's doing behind the scenes. Now, when it comes to the launch windows, I'm sure they know that as well. They have people that leak stuff behind the scenes. They're trying to reach out. And I don't know if either of these companies are wanting to pull the trigger first, per se, want to release first, or even, it's going to be intriguing to see how this all pans out. The specifics when it comes to the power specs for the PlayStation 5, because they gave kind of like a outline of what they're going to be releasing, but really with no details. And then the specifics for Microsoft's consoles, you're going to have to probably get those after E3 or whatever. So once we start getting more and more details, then it should be intriguing to see when these actually launch. I don't know, man. I think the holiday season for both of them in 2020 would be interesting because they'd be going head to head. Maybe Microsoft wants to do a staggered release, maybe get the Lockhart out first and then release the Anaconda a little bit later. They could do that as well. I heard that as a possibility. So it's intriguing for sure. Price point's going to be huge. When they release it is going to affect the launch titles that it has, it's very important as well. So just wanted to get that information out to you guys if you're looking at getting a PlayStation 5 for sure. So you might have a little bit more time to save up. Next up, we have the PlayStation 4 Super Slim leaked ahead of official reveal. So Sony is planning to release a PlayStation 4 Super Slim sometime in between September and November of 2019, according to a leak. It's quite possible to happen since Sony did the same thing with the PlayStation 3. So this is the last of the last. They're trying to just milk as much as they can from the end of the generation. It makes sense. The Super Slim model, you could look at a price point of $150, maybe even $99 if they wanted to go for the body slam on the rest of the industry. You know what I'm saying? Boom, what do you think about this, man?
I mean, look, first of all, if they release a Super Slim, is it going to be $99? Because I don't know. It's again, someone at the beginning of the show talked about a discless. I haven't seen the story, so I don't know where this is coming from. Mm-hmm. But obviously, Microsoft just did it, and they got a lot of shit from people, right? A Super Slim tells me that they're redesigning the PS4 to make it as cheap as possible. Will it hit $99? I doubt it. Will it hit $150, where I think the S should be? I think absolutely. And if it does come out, again, if it comes out for that price, I don't know who doesn't already own a PS4, but apparently there's a lot of people that they still want to grab at this market, the super casuals. You put $149.99 on a Super Slim PS4 with all of the games, their first-party games, I think it's going to sell like hotcakes.
Yeah, I'm reading the story here, and it's not saying that it's going to not have a disk drive. It said it's going to be the built-in processor of the Super Slim is manufactured with the 7-nanometer process compared to the 16 of the Slim. The processor's die size is mentioned to be 110. That's all that was said. So they're kind of, changing that a little bit, but they're not saying they're taking the disk drive out, you know. So, but this is just an attempt to get as much of the consumers that haven't jumped on board to make that dive before the PlayStation 5, because if they make that announcement, it's going to be a hard sell for people that haven't bought a PlayStation 4 like myself, right? So you got to make it intriguing for people. If it's $99, how can you pass that up? Honestly, I mean, you just don't eat at McDonald's a couple times, you got $99. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not going to be that hard of a sell for them. And I think that'd be a fantastic move for Sony going forward. And it should be interesting to see what kind of numbers they have towards the end of the generation when it comes to sales wise, because they're creeping up that all-time sales list. So they should be well over probably, I don't know, by the end of the generation, 125 million or more, so we'll see what happens with that. But that's the last topic of the afternoon. It was
been one hell of a show, dude. I got to tell you.
Yeah, we didn't. I have tons of other topics, but we mowed through a lot of the good topics, and there was a great chat today. We appreciate all of you guys. Like to shout you guys out. There was way too many. Make sure to hit the like button. Let's get 80 before we get out of here. Mr. Boomstick, what do you got going on the rest of the week, my dude?
Well, obviously, I just want to start off by saying that Breakfast with Boom, there will not be an episode this week because I'm going to see Avengers Endgame with my brother Neo Mental. We're having a big breakfast. We're going to enjoy the movie. Looking forward to that. Tomorrow's Xbox Factor podcast is going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time instead of the normal 12. Both the missus and I have a doctor's appointment. I wanted to make sure that I was home in time, not to try and rush through the episode. So it's going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Obviously, as soon as we're done with this show, I'm going to finish doing the video editing for the Mortal Kombat 11 Special Edition unboxing. And I hope people tune in to check that out.
Yeah, check out that unboxing. He always puts in the work and makes a good product out there. If you guys didn't know, I put a video out there yesterday. I was kind of talking about E3, my predictions about what's going on with the first party offerings and stuff with Ninja Theory. There's a interview with Big Deal Phil in there, so go check that out. We're going to have the Saltiest Gaming podcast as normal tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern. What else is going on? Probably put out another video or something like that. Going to see Avengers this weekend, trying to avoid spoilers. So I can't wait. I'm going on Friday. Let us know if you guys are going to Avengers, and don't spoil it for people, man. It's just messed up. You know what I'm saying? Let's keep the spoilers where they belong, in the trash can. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So let's try to do that for everybody. It's been a fantastic episode. Like I said, follow me on social media, Saltiest Gaming, the Eyes of One. We have lots of new Patreon supporters that came on board this week, and I like to welcome all you guys. I appreciate everybody in the chat, and yeah, that's about it, man. Have a great day. Enjoy Mortal Kombat 11 if you're getting that. Days Gone if you're getting that on Friday, and have a good weekend, and as always, stay salty, my friends.